So today I had the opportunity to go into the JFS building, or Joseph's, the building with the exhibit of um, the history of BYU, the history of Karl G. Maeser, and it was great. And while I was in that building, not only was I impressed by the just the overall dedication that BYU's put into it, the exhibit, because there's tour guides there and there's stained glass. There's different exhibits for that are more adapt for kids, and then some for adults that are more heavily on the reading side. And anyway, not only was I just impressed by the overall exhibit itself, but um, it stood out to me the life of Karl G. Maeser and his dedication to learning and education, and how important he felt that it was to make sure, even though the church was relatively young, it had only been in the Salt Lake Valley for a few months before they dedicated the first schools of learning. And that was inspiring for me because if we forget um, some of the truths that aren't necessarily discussed within a gospel setting all the time, like scientific truths and uh, artistic truths and truths about history and truths about the earth and all of these different things. If we forget that, we're forgetting in part God's creations, and so it's like we're forgetting part of God. So we remember the part of his plan, we remember the fact that he's the creator, but we don't pay attention to what he actually created. That stood out to me a lot, and it stood out to me the quote from Karl G. Maeser that if you can see God and learn about God within every droplet of water, within every blade of grass. And that's the kind of attitude I want to have as well. So it was a great experience.